The call came in while I was standing under fluorescent lights, pretending to care about a spreadsheet. My phone buzzed against the edge of my desk. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail until I saw the caller ID tag, Harbor Point Bank. I stepped into the hallway and answered quietly, "This is Tessa." A man's voice, calm and measured. "Ms. Hale, this is Martin Klein, branch manager at Harbor Point. I'm calling about your beach house." My throat tightened. Not panic, recognition. The beach house was the one thing I didn't talk about at work, the one thing my parents couldn't ruin with a comment at dinner, the one place that felt like mine. "What about it?" I asked. There was a pause, like he was checking the exact words he was allowed to use. "Your property was refinanced yesterday," he said, and I felt my blood drain from my hands so fast my fingers went cold. "That's not possible." "It's processed in our system," he replied. "New loan number, new payment schedule, closing package uploaded." I stared at the beige wall in front of me, like it might tell me this was a mistake. I didn't sign anything. Another small pause. Then his voice dropped slightly, more serious. "That's why I'm calling," he said. "The refinance was completed without your presence." My mouth went dry. "Without my permission?" "Yes," he said cleanly, "and the parties who initiated it were listed as your parents." I didn't move. I didn't breathe too loudly. I didn't give him anything emotional to write down later. I just asked carefully, "What exactly do you mean by listed as my parents?" "It shows two individuals presented documents," he said. "What, they claimed they were acting on your behalf? They provided identification and a signed authorization packet." The hallway felt too bright, too quiet. "My parents don't have authority," I said. "They don't have power of attorney. They don't have anything." "I understand," he replied. And the way he said it told me he'd already seen enough of the file to believe me. "Where is the closing package?" I asked. "In your branch." "Yes," he said. "If you can come in today, I'd like to speak with you in person." "How did this get approved?" I asked. My voice was steady, but my throat felt tight. He didn't answer immediately. Then he said, "There are some irregularities. That's why I called you directly instead of sending a letter." I swallowed once. "I'm coming now." I didn't tell my boss a story. I didn't apologize. I grabbed my bag, walked out, and drove like every red light was trying to steal something from me. On the highway, my brain did what it always does when my parents get involved. It built a timeline. The last time they'd been inside my beach house was late summer. They'd shown up uninvited with grocery bags like they were doing me a favor. My mother, Sheila, walked through every room like she was inspecting a rental. My father, Don, stood by the window and said casually, "You know, property like this should stay in the family." I remembered laughing once, short and sharp. "It is in the family," I said. "It's mine." My mother smiled the way she smiles when she's decided something doesn't matter. "We'll see," she'd said softly, like it was a joke. I parked at the bank with my heart steady and my hands cold. Inside, and everything looked like banks always look. Polished floors, low voices, people signing their lives away with cheap pens. A television in the corner played muted ads about trust and security. I walked straight to the front desk. "I'm here to see Martin Klein," I said. "Tessa Hale." The receptionist's smile faltered for half a second as she typed my name. "Yes," she said quietly, "he's expecting you." That single word, expecting, hit like a bruise. Martin met me in the lobby, mid-40s, navy suit, polite expression that had already dropped its customer service warmth. "Ms. Hale," he said, and guided me toward a glass-walled office. I didn't sit until he sat. I set my ID on the desk without being asked. "I didn't authorize a refinance," I said calmly. Martin nodded once. "I believe you," he said. And I'm going to show you why." He turned his monitor slightly away from the glass, then clicked through screens with practiced speed. "You have an existing mortgage on the beach property," he said. "Modest balance, good standing, no issues." "I know," I said. "Yesterday afternoon," he continued, "a refinance application moved from pending to funded. That's not normal without the borrower present." He opened a digital file. A scanned packet appeared. Forms stacked like a neat little crime. He zoomed in on a signature page. "This is the signature used," he said. I leaned forward just enough to see it. My name, my address, my handwriting, almost. Almost doesn't count. "That's forged," I said. Martin's eyes flicked to me, then back to the screen. "Yes," he said quietly. "I compared it to your signature card on file. It doesn't match your pressure pattern." My stomach turned, but I kept my voice level. "Who signed it?" Martin didn't say my parents' names again like he was trying not to inflame me, but the file didn't have that restraint. "They presented themselves as your authorized representatives," he said. "They provided documentation claiming permission." "Show me," I said. He clicked. Another page appeared, an authorization form that looked official enough to fool someone who wanted to be fooled. I scanned it and felt the cold move from my hands into my chest, because the notary stamp at the bottom wasn't blank. It was filled out. Commission number, date, county. Martin watched my face change. "Do you recognize the notary?" he asked. I didn't answer yet. I just stared at the stamp and let the memory rise on its own. My mother had a friend who helped with paperwork, a woman who used to show up at family parties with a leather tote bag and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. My mother once said, like she was bragging, "She can get signatures handled quickly." Martin cleared his throat softly and kept going. "There's more," he said. He clicked into the funding details. His jaw tightened slightly as the screen loaded. "This refinance didn't just lower your payment," he said. "It pulled cash out." "How much?" I asked. He paused like he hated that he knew. "A significant amount," he said carefully. "It was structured as cash-out proceeds." "Where did the cash go?" I asked. Martin didn't answer immediately. His eyes stayed on the screen. His hand hovered over the mouse. "Before I show you," he said, "I need you to understand something. And if this is fraud, and it appears to be, then the fund's destination is evidence." "I understand," I said. "Show me." He clicked one more tab. His face changed. Not dramatically, just the way someone freezes when a simple problem becomes a criminal one. He stared at the screen for a full beat, then another, like he was rereading it to make sure it was real. Then he leaned back slightly in his chair and said very quietly, "We're canceling the refinance." My throat tightened. "Can you do that?" "We can place an immediate rescission hold and escalate to our fraud counsel," he said. "Because the signature is forged, because the borrower disputes, and because this file just triggered a compliance alert." "What alert?" I asked. Martin swallowed once. Then he angled the monitor slightly, careful not to expose account numbers. On just the header of a warning line. Something internal, something serious. He clicked into a participants section. Names populated, roles, IDS. His mouth tightened. "And," he said, voice low, "because I can see who helped your parents push this through." I stared at him. "Who?" Martin didn't answer right away. He just looked at the screen again, like he'd just realized he recognized the name. Then he said, "The assisting party listed on the closing packet is someone our bank has flagged before." My stomach went cold in a new way, because that meant this wasn't my parents improvising. This was my parents using a person who does this for a living. Martin lifted his eyes to mine and said, "Miss Hale, do you know an escrow broker named—" He stopped mid-sentence, like he'd caught himself saying too much too soon. And in that pause, I realized something worse than the refinance itself. My parents didn't just want money. They wanted control over my house, my credit, my future, using a system that would make it look like I agreed. Martin's cursor hovered over the name like it weighed 100 pounds. "I need you to tell me," he said carefully, "if this person is connected to your family, because if she is..." This just became a much bigger case. Martin's cursor hovered over the name like it was radioactive. Then he clicked. A profile panel opened on the right side of the screen, an internal contact record with a roll tag, a license number, and a small red banner across the top. "Do not process. Prior compliance escalations." Martin didn't look at me when he spoke. He looked at the warning like he was choosing each word to keep this clean. "Her name is Marla Keene," he said. "She's listed as the closing facilitation partner on your refinance." "Closing facilitation?" I repeated. He nodded. "Third-party closer," he said. "The person who brings documents, coordinates signatures, routes packages. The person who makes a refinance feel smooth." My throat tightened. "And she's flagged." "Yes," Martin said, "for assisting in irregular closings. Not enough for a public ban, but enough for us to stop processing and escalate." I stared at the screen. How does someone like that end up on my file? Martin's jaw tightened. "Because someone requested her," he said. "Or someone on the inside didn't ask questions." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't let my hands shake. I just asked, "Show me the cash-out disbursement." Martin clicked into a funding screen again. A table appeared, numbers, dates, routing paths. And he angled it away from the glass wall, then pointed with the tip of his pen. "Cash-out proceeds were scheduled to be disbursed by wire," he said. "Yesterday at close of business." "Scheduled," I repeated, focused on that one word. "Yes," he said. "Scheduled, not completed." My lungs took their first real breath since the call at work. "Why not completed?" I asked. "Because the file tripped the compliance alert before release," he said. "We held it." "Held." I nodded once. "Where was it supposed to go?" I asked. Martin didn't answer immediately. He clicked into a wire instruction PDF. His eyes scanned it, then he exhaled through his nose like he was angry at the paper. "It was going to an account at a different institution," he said, "under the name Seabright Consulting." I blinked once. "That's not mine." "No," he said quietly. "Oh, it's not." My fingers went colder. "Whose name is on the beneficiary line?" Martin zoomed in. "Seabright Consulting, LLC," he read. "Beneficiary D. Hale." My stomach tightened. Don Hale. My father. I didn't say it out loud yet. I didn't want to hand my panic to the room like a gift. But Martin's eyes lifted to mine, and he saw the recognition anyway. "You recognize that," he said. "Yes," I replied evenly. "That's my father's initial, and that LLC is new to me." Martin nodded once, like he'd already guessed. "If it's fraudulent," he said, "this is the part that becomes criminal, because it's not a paperwork error, it's an attempted diversion of funds." Attempted. I held on to that word like it was a railing. "How much?" I asked. Martin hesitated, then said the figure plainly, 240,000. My vision didn't blur, and my voice didn't rise, but my skin prickled under my sleeves. $240,000 pulled out of my beach house, without me being in the room, wired to my father's name. Martin watched me for a beat and then did something I didn't expect. He stood up, opened his office door, and spoke to someone just outside it in a low voice. A minute later, a woman in a charcoal blazer stepped into the office with a tablet and a badge that read, "Compliance." Sonia Park. Sonia's expression was calm in the way people get when they've seen too much. "Ms. Hale," she said to me, "I'm Sonia. Martin briefed me. We're placing a full fraud hold on this refinance, and we're initiating a rescission and cancellation request. Can you cancel a refinance that's already funded in the system?" I asked. Sonia nodded once. "We can stop disbursement," she said. "We can flag the file. We can notify the investor and our legal counsel, but there's a separate problem." "What problem?" I asked. Sonia tapped her tablet. "Recording. she said. If the mortgage and deed of trust were submitted for recording at the county, we need to intercept it or file a fraud affidavit immediately. Martin's jaw tightened. That's why I wanted her here today, he said, before it spreads. Sonia looked at me again. Do you have your beach house deed? She asked. It's in my safe at home, I said. Okay, she replied, but right now we need evidence. You need copies of the closing packet, the signature page, the notary information, and the wire instructions. Martin was already printing. The printer behind him started spitting paper in short bursts, clean, official, lethal. And he slid a folder toward me without exposing it to the glass wall. This is the activities summary, he said. It includes timestamps, intake station ID, and who uploaded the package. Who uploaded it? I asked, looking straight at him. Martin clicked once more, eyes narrowing. It was uploaded at a desk station in our branch, he said, under an employee login. My throat tightened. An employee helped them. Sonia's voice stayed flat. Or an employee was used, she said. We'll handle that internally. Right now, you handle the county. I nodded once. Call them, I said. Martin already had the phone in his hand. He dialed a number from memory, not from a sticky note. He spoke quietly to someone, then nodded again and hung up. Seabrook County Recorder's Office, he said. They're open. I told them you're coming and that there may be fraudulent recording activity on your parcel. Sonia leaned slightly toward me. When you get there, she said, ask for the recording log. Ask for any e-recording submissions. Ask who the submitter was. Don't argue. Just get the facts. I held the folder tight against my ribs. Before I go, I said, I want one more thing. Martin looked up. What? The IDs my parents used, I said. And whether you have cameras. Sonia answered before Martin could. There are cameras, she said. And yes, we will preserve footage. Martin clicked into the appointment log again. They checked in under Estate Property Update, he said. And the closer, Marla Keene, was listed as the coordinator. Sonia's eyes sharpened. That's a pattern, she said quietly. What pattern? I asked. She didn't dramatize it. When fraud teams use family members, she said, they often pair them with someone who knows the system. The family provides personal info. The closer provides process. I stared at the folder in my hands. So Marla Keene is the process. Yes, Sonia said, and your parents are the mask. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't look. I didn't want to. But it buzzed again and again. When I finally pulled it out, the screen was lit up with the same name 3 times. Mom, Dad, Mom. I didn't answer. I screenshot the call log. Then I slid my phone back into my bag like it was evidence. Martin watched me do it and nodded once, approving without saying the word. On my way out, Sonia handed me a single page. This is our fraud case number, she said. Give it to the county clerk. If they want to verify the hold, and they can call us. Thank you, I said. Outside, the sun felt too bright for what was happening. I drove to the Seabrook County Recorder's office with the folder on the passenger seat, like a weapon I didn't want to use. Inside the county building, everything smelled like paper and old air conditioning. A line of people waited at a counter under fluorescent lights. A sign on the wall said, "No legal advice provided," in big letters. I stepped up when it was my turn and kept my voice calm. My name is Tessa Hale, I said. I need to check the recording status for my beach house parcel. I believe fraudulent documents may have been submitted yesterday. The clerk blinked, then looked at my folder. Parcel number, she said. I gave it to her. She typed. Her face stayed neutral at first, then she paused. Her eyes narrowed slightly at the screen. What? I asked. She didn't answer immediately. She clicked once, then again, and her posture changed. Ma'am, she said carefully, I'm seeing an e-recording submission. Submitted by who? I asked. She clicked into a detail view. Submitter name is Coastal Signings LLC, she read. My throat tightened. Coastal signings, I repeated. Is there a person attached? The clerk scrolled, then nodded. Yes, she said. Submitter contact is Marla Keene. My stomach went cold, because Martin's office wasn't the start of this. It was just the first place my parents' paperwork hit resistance. The clerk clicked again. There are 2 documents in the queue, she said. 2, I repeated. She nodded, eyes still on the screen. A deed of trust from the refinance, she said. When another instrument submitted right after it. What instrument? I asked. The clerk's lips pressed together as she read. It says limited power of attorney, she said. I didn't move. I didn't blink. Because my parents weren't satisfied with one forged signature. They were stacking authority on top of authority, layering paperwork until my objections would sound like noise. The clerk looked up at me. Do you want to file a fraud affidavit today? She asked. Yes, I said. And I want a recording hold placed on my parcel. She nodded once and slid a form toward me. Fill this out, she said, and I'm going to call my supervisor. As I reached for the pen, my phone buzzed again. One new text this time, not a call, from my mother. We only did what you would have wanted. Call me before you make it worse. I stared at the message, then took a screenshot and slid the phone back into my bag, because the only thing I wanted now was simple, not revenge, not drama, a record that matched the truth. The county clerk didn't treat my words like gossip. She treated them like a procedure. She took the form I'd started, glanced at the folder in my hand, and picked up the phone under the counter. Supervisor to window 3, she said quietly. Then she looked at me again. Stay right there. I stayed. I filled in my name, parcel number, and the exact phrase that mattered most. I did not authorize these documents. My hand didn't shake, but my stomach felt hollow, like my body was trying to make room for what was coming. 2 minutes later, a woman in her 50s walked out from a side door with a badge clipped to her belt and a binder tucked under her arm. She didn't smile. She didn't frown. She just looked at the screen behind the counter and then at me. I'm Denise Latham, she said, recording supervisor. You're alleging a fraudulent submission. Yes, I said calmly. My bank has already placed a fraud hold on the refinance. I have a case number, and the submitter on your queue is Marla Keene. Denise's eyes tightened slightly. Not surprise, recognition. Coastal signings, she said under her breath, then looked back up. Do you have ID? I slid it to her. She glanced at it once, then handed it back like she was already past the who and into the what. I'm placing a temporary hold on the parcel, she said. It doesn't erase the submission, but it prevents recording from completing until we review. Do it, I said. Denise turned to the clerk. Pull the submission details, she said. R and the clerk started typing fast. Denise leaned toward me. I need you to understand, she said quietly. We don't decide guilt here, but we can stop the machine while law enforcement and counsel look at it. That's all I need, I replied. The clerk's cursor clicked through screens. Then she stopped. Her posture changed in that small, specific way people change when they see a name that means trouble. Denise, she said softly, there are more attachments. Denise leaned in. Show me. The clerk turned the monitor slightly. I couldn't see everything, but I could see enough. 2 main instruments and then a stack of supporting docs attached like ballast. Denise pointed at one line with her finger. Limited power of attorney, she read. I didn't sign that either, I said. Denise nodded once, then tapped another attachment. Borrower affidavit, she read, voice flat. Identity verification. My throat tightened. They forged an affidavit, too. The clerk clicked into the POA attachment and brought it up. A scanned page filled the screen. Denise didn't let the clerk scroll fast. She made her go line by line, names near the top, claimed authority, a signature block at the bottom. Denise's face stayed controlled, but her eyes sharpened when she reached the notary section. Notarized, she said quietly. I leaned forward slightly. By who? Denise didn't read the name to the room. She leaned toward the clerk and said, "Print the submission log with timestamps and submitter credentials." The printer behind the counter started spitting out paper. Then Denise turned to me. "Ms. Hale," she said, "this submitter is using an e-recording portal credential. With that credential is tied to their company. We can provide the digital certificate metadata to law enforcement." "Meaning," I said. "Meaning this wasn't mailed in," she replied. "It wasn't a random walk-in. It was submitted intentionally through a controlled channel." Controlled. My parents didn't do controlled. They did loud. They did emotional. Which meant someone else had built the channel for them. Denise slid the fresh printouts to herself, scanned them, and then slid one page toward me face down. "This is your receipt that a hold was placed," she said. "This is your Q log. It shows the submitter, the time, and the document types." I nodded once and tucked it into my folder without flipping it up for the lobby cameras. Denise leaned closer. "We see coastal signing submissions often," she said quietly. "When they're clean, they're clean. When they're not, they arrive in clusters. POA, affidavit, quick cash out, quick record. Clusters." I swallowed once. "So what happens now?" "You finish the fraud affidavit," she said. "We timestamp it today. Then I'm emailing our legal counsel and flagging this for our fraud liaison. If your bank counsel reaches out, we'll coordinate." "Can I also place an alert on the parcel?" I asked, "so I'm notified if anything else is submitted?" Denise nodded. "We can do a property fraud watch," she said, "and I'm doing it." I exhaled slowly for the first time in an hour. Then my phone buzzed again. Not Mom this time. Martin Klein. Harbor Point Bank. I stepped away from the counter and answered softly. "Martin." His voice was tighter now, still professional, but faster. "Miss Hale, I need you to know your parents are at the branch." My skin prickled. "Right now." "Yes," he said, "and they did not come to apologize." I didn't ask how he knew. I could picture them too clearly. My mother's perfect posture, my father's quiet certainty, both of them dressed like they were going to church. "What are they asking for?" I asked. Martin paused. "They're demanding release of the cash-out proceeds," he said. "They're claiming you authorized them verbally and that you're confused." I kept my voice steady. "Do not speak to them about me." "I'm not," he replied. "Compliance is with me. Security is with me. But there's something else." "What?" I asked. "They brought Marla Keene," he said. My throat tightened hard. "Of course they did." Martin's voice dropped. "Marla is trying to pressure staff," he said. "She's referencing relationships and saying the wire was already approved." My fingers went colder around my phone. "Is it?" "No," he said firmly. "It's held, but she's trying to create urgency so someone makes a mistake." "Don't," I said. "Keep it frozen." "We are," he replied. "But I need you here. Not for them, for the record." I looked back at the county counter where Denise was watching me now, waiting calmly like she already knew the bank would pull me back. "I'm at the recorder's office," I said. "They placed a hold on my parcel." Martin's exhale sounded like relief. "Good," he said. "Then come straight here when you're done. And Ms. Hale, do not come through the front lobby if you don't want them seeing you. Security can bring you in the side door." "I don't care if they see me," I said quietly. But I care about them performing." Martin paused. "Then use the side door," he said. I went back to Denise and finished the fraud affidavit with the same calm tone I used to write work emails. Date, parcel, statement, signature. The irony wasn't lost on me. The county required my signature, and I had to have it notarized to file the affidavit. Denise didn't smile when she said it. "We have an in-house notary," she said. "You'll sign in front of her." "Good," I replied. 10 minutes later, I signed once, in front of a notary I could see with my own eyes, under fluorescent lights that made everything honest. The notary stamped it. Denise attached it to the queue. "Hold is active," she said. "If Coastal Signings tries to push anything else through, it's going to flag." I nodded, tucked the stamped copy into my folder, and walked out. 25 minutes later, I pulled into Harbor Point's side lot. A security guard met me at a locked side door and let me in without speaking. The hallway behind the lobby smelled like carpet cleaner and printer heat. Martin and Sonia were waiting in his office, and I didn't need to ask how the front lobby looked. I could hear it faintly through the glass, voices carrying. A woman's tone sharp, rehearsed, my mother's tone sweet, offended, my father's tone low and certain. "They're making a scene," I said. Martin nodded once. "They're trying," he replied. Sonia stepped closer to me. "We have the recording hold confirmation from your county," she said. "Good timing." I handed over Denise's paperwork. Sonia scanned it quickly, then looked up. "This will help our legal team," she said. "Now, watch this." She turned Martin's monitor slightly. I clicked into an internal log and pulled up a time-stamped event list tied to the refinance file. "Your parents didn't just show up with papers," Sonia said. "They used a bank employee pathway." My throat tightened, meaning someone inside pushed it. "Or someone inside was tricked," she corrected, and then she clicked another tab that made Martin's jaw harden. "Employee Station ID," Sonia read, "and the login used to accept the packet." She turned the screen just enough for me to see a name line. No personal data, just the identifier. "Loan associate, Kevin Rourke," she said. Martin's mouth tightened. "He's new," he murmured. "Transferred in 2 months ago." Sonia's voice stayed flat. "He accepted the packet under standard review," she said, and the closer listed, Marla Keene, was entered as the facilitator. Martin leaned back slightly. Which shouldn't have passed," he said. "Correct," Sonia replied. Then she clicked again. Martin froze. "What?" I asked. Sonia pointed at a line in the log. "A release attempt," she said. "Someone attempted to push the wire out this morning." My skin prickled. "From where?" Sonia tapped the screen. "Internal override request," she said. "Submitted from a desk station in the lobby." My mouth went dry. "While I was at the county?" "Yes," Sonia said. "And it was denied because the fraud hold is active." Martin looked up at me. "They didn't come here to negotiate," he said quietly. "They came here to apply pressure while trying to slip the wire out through staff." My chest tightened, but my voice stayed calm. "So they're trying to exploit a person, not a system." Sonia nodded once. Exactly." Then Dana, security, stepped into the office without knocking. "They're escalating," she said calmly. "Marla is demanding to speak to someone higher. Your mother is crying. Your father is telling customers you're ill." I didn't blink. "And?" I asked. Dana's eyes flicked to Sonia's monitor. "And we just got a call from another branch," she said. "Same closer name, same packet style, different property." Martin's face tightened. "Another property," he repeated. Dana nodded once. "They're running multiple files," she said. "Or trying to." Sonia's posture sharpened instantly. "That means pattern," she said. Martin looked at me, voice low. "Ms. Hale," he said, "if this is a pattern tied to Coastal Signings and Marla Keene, we're not just canceling your refinance." He paused, eyes hard. "We're reporting it." I nodded once. "Eyes good," I said. Dana glanced toward the door. "They just asked if you're here," she said quietly. I stood up slowly, folder in my hands, and felt the strange calm that comes right before a confrontation you didn't start. "Tell them nothing," I said. Sonia's eyes stayed on mine. "We can also call police," she said, "if they refuse to leave or intimidate staff." "Do it," I said. And right as Sonia reached for her phone, my own phone buzzed with a new notification from Harbor Point's app, an alert I'd never seen before. Account profile change requested. Mailing address update. Pending approval. I stared at the screen, then looked up at Martin. "They're trying to change my mailing address," I said calmly. Martin's face went flat. "To hide the paper trail," he said. And in the lobby, and I heard my mother's voice rise, sweet and loud, like she was announcing something to an audience. "I'm her mother," she said. "I'm just trying to protect her." Sonia's phone was already in her hand. "Police are on the way," she said. Martin clicked one more screen and his eyes narrowed. "Ms. Hale," he said quietly, "the address change request was submitted from inside the branch." My skin went colder, because that meant my parents weren't just pressuring the system. They were already inside it. Martin didn't look away from the screen. He just stared at the audit line that said the address change request was submitted from inside the branch, and the air in his office tightened like someone had closed a door. Sonia didn't react emotionally. She reacted operationally. "Open the event details," she said. Martin clicked. A deeper log expanded. Station ID, employee login, timestamp, and a short internal note field. Sonia leaned closer. "Read it," she said. Martin's voice went flat. "Mailing address update request," he read. "Submitted at 11:18 a.m. Station L-front-3. Login, K. Rourke. Kevin, the new loan associate." My hand stayed still on my folder, but my stomach turned. "Kevin did it," I said calmly. Sonia didn't jump to conclusions. "Kevin's credentials did it," she corrected. Dana, still standing by the door, said quietly, "Front 3 is the lobby desk closest to the brochure rack." Martin's mouth tightened. "That's where Kevin sits." Sonia looked at Dana. "Pull the camera angle on that station," she said. Dana didn't ask why. She stepped out, and a minute later she came back with her tablet already on a live replay. And she set it on Martin's desk and scrubbed to the timestamp, 11:18. The lobby feed showed the front desk area from above. Kevin was visible at first, leaning toward his monitor, shoulders tense, then stepping away, walking toward the printer, reaching for paper. Then Marla Keene stepped into frame. She didn't look lost. She didn't hesitate. She moved like she knew exactly what to do with a bank workstation. She leaned in close behind the counter, angled her body so the lobby couldn't see her hands, and reached toward Kevin's keyboard. My skin prickled. "She's at his station," I said. Sonia's jaw tightened slightly. "Keep going," she said to Dana. Dana scrubbed forward a few seconds. On the feed, Marla's hand moved. Click, click, type, type. Then she stepped back as Kevin returned, holding printed pages. Kevin sat down, and Marla smiled at him like she'd just handed him something he didn't want to hold. Martin's face went tight. "So the address change wasn't my parents," he said. "It was Marla using an employee station." Sonia didn't blink. "It could be both," she said. "They can pressure him while she does the work." My phone buzzed again in my bag, but I didn't reach for it. I didn't want to give the lobby the satisfaction of seeing me flinch. Dana touched her earpiece. "Police just arrived," she said calmly. Sonia's gaze flicked to Martin. "Let them in through the side," she said. "Keep this contained." Martin nodded and stood. "Stay here," he said to me, "for your safety." "I'm not hiding," I replied quietly. Sonia met my eyes. "You're not hiding," she said. "You're controlling exposure. There's a difference." Before I could respond, we heard it through the glass, voices rising in the lobby sharp enough to carry. My mother. "I'm her mother," she said in that bright, sweet tone she uses when she's trying to sound harmless. "My daughter is confused. She's overworked. She's—" A deeper voice cut in, calm and firm. An officer. "Ma'am," he said, "I'm going to need you to lower your voice." My father's voice followed, low and certain. "This is ridiculous," he said. "We have documents. We have authorization. We're here to resolve a mistake." Resolve a mistake. He meant extract a wire. Sonia turned to Dana. "Get the footage and print the log," she said. "I want it ready." Dana nodded once and moved. Martin opened his office door and stepped out. Sonia motioned for me to stay inside the glass room, away from the main sightline but close enough to hear the record being made. In the next few minutes felt like watching a storm through a window. Martin spoke with the officer in a controlled tone. My mother cried softly on command. My father kept repeating, "Authorized," like it was a spell. And Marla didn't cry at all. She leaned in close to the counter, jaw tight, eyes sharp, trying to force urgency into the staff. Then the officer's voice rose slightly, still calm, just louder so it would land. "Who is the account holder?" he asked. My mother answered too fast. "She is," she said, gesturing vaguely, "but she can't handle these matters. That's why we—" "Ma'am," the officer said, cutting her off, "I didn't ask who you think can handle it. I asked who owns the property." My father's tone sharpened. "Our daughter," he said, "Tessa Hale." Sonia looked at me. "That's your cue," she said quietly. Short, clean. I stepped out of the office and into the hallway, then into the lobby sightline. My parents' heads snapped toward me instantly like they'd been waiting to pounce. My mother's face lit up with fake relief. "Tessa," she gasped. "Thank God. Tell them. Tell them we were just helping." I didn't look at her. I looked at the officer. "My name is Tessa Hale," I said calmly, and held up my ID. "I did not authorize any refinance. I did not sign any documents. My signature was forged." The officer took my ID, glanced at it, then looked at Martin. "You called her," he said. "Yes," Martin replied, "because the signature doesn't match, and because the file triggered compliance alerts." My father stepped forward half a pace. "This is a family misunderstanding," he said, voice low and firm. "We were acting on her behalf. She's stressed." I didn't react. I reached into my folder and pulled out the county paperwork, just the top page. "The recorder's office placed a hold on my parcel," I said to the officer. "2 fraudulent instruments were submitted for recording through an e-recording credential tied to Coastal Signings, LLC. Submitter contact, Marla Keene." Marla's head snapped toward me. Not fear, anger, like I'd stolen her timing. "That's not what that means," Marla said quickly, stepping closer. "It's a routine submission. Sometimes borrowers get nervous and—" The officer turned his head toward her. "Ma'am," he said evenly, "who are you?" Marla smiled like she'd practiced it in a mirror. "Marla Keene," she said. "Closing facilitator. I'm here to help resolve—" "Are you an employee of this bank?" the officer asked. "No," Marla said, still smiling. "Ah, then you don't get to resolve anything at their counter," the officer replied, tone unchanged. "Step back." My mother's voice rose again. "Officer, please," she said, tears already built into it. "My daughter is unstable. She doesn't understand what she's doing. She—" The officer didn't even look at her this time. He looked at Martin. "Where's your compliance officer?" he asked. Sonia stepped forward beside Martin like a shadow turning solid. "Sonia Park," she said. "Compliance." The officer nodded once. "You have evidence this was forged," he said. "Yes," Sonia replied. "Signature mismatch. Cash-out disbursement wired to a beneficiary connected to the parents. Attempted wire release. Attempted address change, submitted from inside the branch." The officer's eyes narrowed. "Attempted address change," he repeated. Sonia didn't dramatize it. "It's in the audit log," she said. "Station ID, timestamp, and login used." My father's face tightened. "This is harassment," he said. Sonia looked at him once, cool and flat. "No," she said, "this is documentation." Dana returned quietly with a sealed envelope and a printout. She handed it to Sonia, who handed it to the officer. The officer scanned it, then looked up. "Logan used was Kevin Rourke," he said. Kevin, who had been hovering near the side of the lobby this entire time, flinched. My mother's head snapped toward him. My father's eyes narrowed like he was warning Kevin without speaking. Marla didn't look at Kevin at all. She kept her eyes on the officer, trying to control the narrative. "That's impossible," Marla said quickly. "I never touched a bank computer." Dana spoke before Sonia could. "We have camera footage," she said evenly. "Time-stamped. You at his station at 11:18. Marla's smile twitched. My mother's tears stopped midstream for half a second. The officer turned toward Marla again. "Ma'am," he said, "do you have any reason to be at a bank employee station?" Marla's voice tightened. "I was leaning over to point something out," she said. "That's all." Dana didn't raise her voice. "You typed," she said. "We can see your hands." Sonia stepped closer to the officer. "We also have a separate log," she said. "An internal override request to release the wire this morning. It was denied because the fraud hold was active." The officer looked at Martin. "Wire amount?" he asked. Martin's jaw tightened. $240,000, he said. My mother made a small sound in her throat like she'd forgotten to play confused and accidentally played caught. My father's expression stayed tight and controlled, but his eyes flicked once toward the exit. The officer looked at me. "Miss Hale," he said, "I'm going to ask you a question, and I need a simple answer. Did you authorize your parents to refinance your beach house?" "No," I said. "Did you authorize them to receive cash-out proceeds?" he asked. "No," I said again. He nodded once. "Okay," he replied. Then he turned back toward my parents and Marla, and his tone shifted from customer service police to "this is now a case." "Ma'am," he said to Marla, "I'm going to ask you to provide identification." Marla's smile returned too quickly. "Of course," she said, reaching into her bag. My mother jumped in. "She's helping us," she said brightly. "She's a professional." The officer didn't respond to professional. He responded to what he could prove. He took Marla's ID, glanced at it, then spoke quietly into his radio. Dana's tablet chimed with a new incoming alert from security, an internal message. Dana glanced down, then looked up at Sonia. "The other branch called back," she said quietly. "The second property attempt, they have the same closer name, same company credential." Sonia's posture sharpened. "Pattern," she murmured. The officer heard it anyway. "Second property attempt," he repeated. Sonia nodded once. "Not your jurisdiction, maybe," she said, "but it's relevant. Coastal Signings is appearing across multiple irregular files." The officer's gaze settled on Marla again, and something in his face changed. Recognition, not suspicion. When he looked down at Marla's ID, then back up and said very calmly, "Ms. Keene, do you know you're already listed in a financial crimes bulletin?" Marla's smile froze. My mother's mouth opened slightly. My father went still. And the officer's next sentence landed like a door locking. "I need you to stay right here," he said to Marla, "because a detective is on the way, and this file is about to get a lot bigger than your little closing packet." The detective arrived the way real consequences arrive. Quiet, fast, and without asking anyone's permission. He didn't storm in. He didn't raise his voice. He walked through the bank doors with a notebook in one hand and a badge already out. Eyes moving over faces like he was counting exits. "Detective Owen Mercer," he said to the officer, then to Sonia. "Financial crimes." Marla tried to recover her smile. "Detective, this is a misunderstanding." Mercer didn't look at her yet. He looked at Martin. "Who's the borrower?" he asked. Martin gestured toward me. "Tessa Hale," he said. "She's the owner on record. She disputes the refinance and the signatures." Mercer's gaze landed on me, calm and direct. "Ms. Hale," he said, "did you sign any refinance documents yesterday?" "No," I answered. "Did you authorize anyone to sign for you?" he asked. "No," I said again. He nodded once like he was checking boxes, not collecting emotion. Then he turned his attention to the machine that mattered most. "Show me what you have," he said to Sonia. Sonia didn't give him a speech. She gave him a folder. Audit log printouts, signature comparison notes, wire instructions, the override request, now the address change attempt, and Dana's time-stamped footage reference. Mercer scanned the top page, then looked up at Dana. "You have video of her at the workstation," he said, nodding toward Marla. "Yes," Dana replied. "Time-stamped, clear," she typed. Marla's smile twitched. "I leaned over," she said quickly. "I was pointing, that's all." Mercer finally looked at her. His eyes were flat. No anger, no warmth. "Ma'am," he said, "what is your role in this refinance?" "I'm the closer," Marla replied, too smooth. "I facilitate signatures and routing. I don't—" "You facilitate," Mercer repeated, "meaning you handled the package." "Yes," she said. "And the e-recording submissions," Mercer continued, "were sent through your company credential." Marla's lips pressed tight for half a beat. "That's normal," she said. That's how e-recording works." Mercer nodded once. "It is," he said, "which means it's traceable." My mother tried to step in with her sweet tone. "Detective, my daughter is confused." Mercer cut her off without raising his voice. "Ma'am," he said, still looking at Marla, "I'm not taking medical opinions from family members while I'm reading a fraud file." My mother went still. My father's jaw tightened like he didn't like hearing the word fraud spoken out loud. Mercer turned to Martin. "Cash out amount?" he asked. $240,000, Martin said. Mercer's eyes flicked to the wire page. "Beneficiary?" he asked. Martin hesitated, then said it cleanly. "The wire instructions route to an account named Seabright Consulting. Beneficiary line shows D. Hale." My father's eyes flashed. "Detective," he said, low and firm. "Nah, this is harassment. That's my business account. We were—" Mercer held up one hand, not to silence him forever, just to stop him from flooding the record with noise. "You can explain later," Mercer said. "Right now, you're going to stop talking." My father's mouth tightened, but he stopped. Mercer turned back to me. "Ms. Hale," he said, "do you want to pursue charges?" "Yes," I replied, and my voice didn't shake. "I want the refinance canceled, my parcel protected, and an investigation opened." Mercer nodded once. "Good," he said, "because this isn't a civil disagreement. This is attempted mortgage fraud with a planned diversion of funds." Marla's smile cracked slightly. "Attempted," she echoed, like she wanted to cling to the word. Mercer didn't argue. "Attempted is still criminal," he said. Then he moved, efficient. When he asked Martin for the branch station ID log, he asked Sonia for the internal fraud case number. He asked Dana to preserve the footage and produce a certified copy. He asked for Kevin. Kevin stepped forward from the side of the lobby, looking pale, eyes darting toward my parents, like he was searching for permission to speak. Mercer studied him for 1 second. "Were you threatened?" he asked. Kevin swallowed. "No," he said too fast. Mercer's tone didn't change. "Were you pressured?" he corrected. Kevin's throat moved again. His eyes flicked to Marla, then away. "She kept saying the wire had to go out today," Kevin muttered. "She said she'd worked with the bank before. She said she knew people." Mercer nodded once. "Did she touch your workstation?" he asked. Kevin hesitated. Dana didn't speak. She didn't need to. The camera already had the answer. Kevin's voice came out small. "Yes," he admitted. "She leaned over. She typed something. I thought she was just pulling up the file." Mercer turned to Marla. "You typed under his credentials," he said. Marla's smile returned, strained. "That's not illegal," she snapped. "I was trying to fix the file." Mercer's eyes stayed flat. "It becomes illegal when the file is fraudulent," he said. "And you knew it was because you layered authority." Sonia's head lifted slightly. "Layered authority?" she echoed. Mercer nodded. "Deed of trust," he said, counting off. "Limited power of attorney. Borrower affidavit. Address change attempt. That's not fixing. That's hiding." My mother's voice rose again, trying to pull the room back into her orbit. "This is ridiculous," she cried. "Wait, we're her parents." Mercer turned toward her, calm as a locked door. "And you're also the people trying to extract $240,000 from her property," he said. "So your title doesn't help you." My mother's tears stopped on the spot. My father took one step backward like he was recalculating. Mercer spoke into his radio, short, precise phrases. Then he looked up. "Marla Keene," he said, "I'm detaining you pending further investigation. I'm also requesting a warrant for your phone and any devices used to submit these e-recording instruments." Marla's eyes widened. "Detaining me?" she snapped. "For what? Doing my job?" Mercer didn't flinch. "For your role in a fraudulent refinance," he said, "and for manipulating a bank workstation to attempt an address change while the borrower disputed the file." Marla's voice rose. "This is insane." The officer stepped closer. "Ma'am," he said evenly, "turn around." Marla looked at my parents like she expected them to rescue her. My father didn't move. My mother didn't move. Because my parents only love people when those people are useful. Marla's shoulders tightened. Then she turned, jaw clenched, and the cuffs clicked. The sound hit my mother differently than it hit me. It didn't sound like justice to her. It sounded like risk. My father tried one last time to control the outcome. "Detective," he said, "you can't treat us like criminals." Mercer looked at him. "Then stop acting like one," he replied. He turned to me again. "Miss Hale," he said, "Now, your parents are not being arrested at this second unless we establish probable cause for their direct participation beyond the attempted wire destination." My father's posture relaxed for half a breath. Then Mercer continued, "But we're going to establish it." He held up the wire instructions page. "This doesn't route to Coastal Signings," he said. "It routes to a beneficiary tied to your father's name." My father's face tightened again. Mercer pointed to the county hold paperwork. "And the e-recording submission is tied to the closer credential," he said. "But who benefits from the cash out is clear." My mother tried to laugh like it was harmless. "That's just how paperwork gets done," she said too brightly. Mercer's eyes stayed flat. "No," he said. "That's how theft gets disguised." Then he looked at Sonia. "You have fraud counsel," he said. Sonia nodded. "Already engaged," she replied. "Good," Mercer said. "I want immediate written confirmation that the bank is rescinding the refinance, preventing disbursement, and preserving all internal logs." Martin nodded. "Done," he said. "Funds were never released." Mercer looked back at me. "You did the right thing coming in fast," he said. "If you'd waited, that wire would have moved." I didn't smile. I didn't thank him like it was a favor. "I want my home protected," I said. Mercer nodded once. "We'll get you there," he replied. 2 hours later, I sat in a small interview room at the station with Detective Mercer and a records tech who scanned my folder page by page. I gave a statement that sounded boring, because boring is what wins in fraud cases. Dates, times, who called me, what Martin said, what the county clerk saw, what Marla did at the workstation, what the wire instructions showed. Mercer didn't need me to guess motives. He needed me to confirm facts. When I finished, he slid a paper across the table. "Protective measures," he said. "Credit freeze, property fraud watch, and I recommend a no-contact order." "I'll file," I said. He nodded once. "Good." The next morning, Harbor Point's legal counsel sent written confirmation. The refinance was formally rescinded and canceled for fraud. The cash out never disbursed. The deed of trust submission was flagged and stopped. The county recorder's office kept the hold in place until the bank's rescission documents were recorded, and the fraudulent Q was rejected. A week later, weren't the consequences stopped feeling like a scary day at the bank and started looking like what it really was? Marla Keene's company credential was suspended. Her e-recording access was revoked. A warrant was executed on her office devices, and investigators connected her to other irregular files across multiple properties. She was charged with felony mortgage fraud-related offenses and conspiracy because the pattern wasn't an accident and the footage wasn't deniable. My father didn't get to hide behind his calm voice either. The LLC account that was set to receive the wire became evidence, not a shield. The investigation tied the attempted cash-out diversion directly to him, and he was charged for his role in the scheme. My mother was charged as well once the bank footage and appointment logs confirmed their participation in presenting the forged packet and attempting to pressure staff during the hold. They didn't get a slap on the wrist. They got court dates, no contact conditions, restitution orders, and the kind of legal record they'd spent their lives trying to keep off themselves while putting it on me. And my beach house, my one quiet place, stayed mine. Not because I begged, but because the paper trail finally matched reality. A month later, I drove to the beach house alone and stood in the doorway for a long time without stepping in. Not because I was afraid of the house, because I was letting my body relearn that it was safe. The locks were changed, my credit was frozen, the county fraud watch was active. And every time I thought about what could have happened, I remembered the only thing that mattered. The wire never moved. If your parents tried to refinance your property behind your back, would you confront them first? Or go straight to the bank and county office like I did? Tell me what you'd do in the comments. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.